If you're in the US, I hope you bumped your clocks forward an hour. Because as quickly as time moves, before you know it, you can miss the biggest event on every SRF enthusiast calendar. That's right, it's week 13 yet again, which means it's time for the SRF vRunoffs Big Grid Race, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Bill Soup Zahn. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Bill, today is another first for this quarterly series, and though we're still over here in England, this time we come to another famous British circuit. Tell us about Silverstone.
Yeah, it's a dark and gloomy day here in Silverstone as the clouds hang ominously low in the heavens. Located in England next to Northamptonshire villages of Silverstone and Winterbury, this place was built in World War II. It was originally a Royal Air Force bomber station here. Now, it was currently turned into a racetrack in 1948, and then it went a lot of changes, redesigned in 1990. But today we're racing on the original version, the 5 kilometer, 16 turn historic layout. Now, on the modern GP circuit, Vales has a little more bite to it. They've straightened it out here for the old one. And the really big difference, though, is that on the historic layout, Abbey is a kink rather than the chicane that sits on the modern version now, which makes the run down the hanger straight down into bridge a bit more intense. But the best way to get an idea of what these drivers will face is to hop on board the GSRC Spec Racer Ford and take a lap around.
All right, we're in the GSRC SRF, so let's do a lap around Silverstone. Coming up the Copse, there's not a whole lot of braking that you do into this corner, so passes can be a little sketchy. Plus, the lift throttle oversteer can make the car sort of skittish on entry. Be able to keep the car stable and find the gas early and you'll be rewarded. From there, you'll drift it back across the track to set up for the Maggots-Beckett sequence. It's a very fast entry into this series of S's, and you'll need one last stab of the power before you've got to start slowing up more. Really, the most important thing is setting the car up so that you can get back to the throttle early coming through the final right-hander. Since you're not lifting on the way through Chapel, it effectively lengthens the hanger straight, which is already the longest acceleration zone of the track. The little SRF is notorious for how much of a draft it offers up, so you can imagine the sorts of slingshot battles that erupt along here. But as you follow the racing line off to the left, you'll find it's similar to the first corner with how little braking is needed into stow. And what's tough here is the rise makes the exit a bit blind. You're going to see greedy drivers get back on the gas way too early and understeer off the track pretty often. Now, with this being the historic layout, the Vale chicane gets straightened out, and you can even take it flat out when you hit it just right. But it can make slowing up for club kind of tough, so it's a balancing game of how hot do you dare enter. And it's not just a loss of control that can punish you. Getting a slow exit off of this right-hander puts you at a severe disadvantage on the run to bridge. In this version, Abbey is returned to its original kink. Once again, there's no lifting, and because this is a momentum car, keeping your speed up is everything. But this makes bridge all the more hairy, and it's another place where you're susceptible to losing the rear end if you're not careful. And just to heighten the difficulty, this leads directly into the braking for Priory. That'll take us into the slowest, most technical section of the track here at the end. Brooklands is especially tight, but remember that this car thrives on lower revs, so even in this turn, you don't bring it into second gear. Finally, there's Luffield, and the temptation will be great to get back on the power too soon. Lining up your exit will be much more helpful to your lap so that you can punch it confidently and come to the line strong. After that, you simply straighten out Woodcote, and hopefully you've now completed a lap around Silverstone. As you can see, a little bit sunnier on the day that we took the GSRC SRF out, and of course the cooler conditions tends to mean that it's going to be a little bit more grippy out there. We'll get to that in a second, though. Before we do, Bill, we've got at least one new aspect to this race that might be new for viewers. So even if our viewers have seen this race before, why don't you tell them about the big grid details?
Just going to shake it up a bit. Well, one thing that isn't new is the car. It is, as always, the Spec Racer Ford. Really fun car to drive. A momentum car. You turn it as much with your right foot with the throttle as you do with the steering wheel. Boy, it is a blast. Now, the setups are open so the drivers can play around with it, get it the way they like. Not a whole bunch you can do the Spec Racer Ford, but there is one thing. It has a restricted fuel cell. So that's what Joe was talking about. For the first time in these big grid history, we're going to have a pit stop. They figure it to be about right at the midway point. It's going to be a pretty small window. We have a 40-minute race. Look for it to be somewhere between 25 and 35 minutes. Not going to be really long. There is an instant gap of 18. Silverstone, the kind of place where you can cheat a little bit. We might have to watch out on that. That could sneak up on you over 40 minutes. And this is a fun race for points, so there is one fast repair, but honestly, well, let me rephrase myself here. I was going to say, if you have to take the fast repair, in the old days, it meant you're going to have a bad race. But now, if you can kind of time that fast repair in your pit window, you might be able to have a mistake and still come away with a good finish. Joe?
We'll have to watch and see if anybody gets damage in that first half of this race, because as you said, it could certainly affect the outcome as we watch the drivers go through their qualifying. Right now, we've got vRunoffs sitting on the pole and the only driver in qualifying to duck under that 2-minute mark, almost 2/10 over Charlie Summers at the moment. But Bill, I mentioned the weather. Why don't we take a glance and see actually where that sits right now? As track temperature down to 76 degrees, which feels rather appropriate for a place like Silverstone, known for its gloomy weather and sometimes unpredictable weather as well. But thankfully, no chance of rain here in the sim racing world. But certainly seems like it's going to pick the speeds up out on track. What do you think that's going to do for the racing, though?
I think the racing is all going to be draft here. As you look at that weather, my goodness, it's really cold and really humid. I don't know what that. I think that's one couple notches away from it snowing in iRacing. I'm not sure what that actually means. Yeah, I think it's going to be draft track. Look for passing zones down Hanger, and then maybe coming out of Club as you head in towards Bridge. That could happen as well. Maybe the only place where there might be a pass under braking is into Priory. That's 13. That's that left-hander that sets up that very last part of the technical section of Silverstone, which I hate so much. That ends with the final left field that takes forever to come around before you finally get on the gas down the main straight. Don't think there's going to be much passing into one. There is that runoff area, though, outside of Cops that could be interesting as you pick up some incident points.
Just 2 minutes left to go. With 2-minute laps, you can expect drivers to really start hustling to try to get a lap in. If they aren't out on track out of the pits now, they aren't going to get a timed lap in, unfortunately. So really you need to be out there if you want to improve your time. Otherwise, you are sitting out for the rest of this thing. Really no point other than practice. Let's talk about the major players, though, as well, Bill. We mentioned vRunoffs up at the top, and I know you were kind of excited about maybe Cobo Lopez. Sadly, he's not here to try and face off with vRunoffs. That would have been pretty epic. But there's got to be at least somebody else that you think could maybe take it to the Roland Estonian, as you call him.
Yeah, it was Cobo Lopez's birthday, so that's why he originally signed up, and then I guess he didn't realize it fell right on his birthday, so he's going to sit out. That would have been like Godzilla meeting Megatron. Two guys that you don't expect to be together. Would have been exciting to see, though. The guys that I think have a shot at it, Charlie Summers certainly has the speed if his internet connection holds up. He's notorious for having that type of problem. I know Alexander Sanchez is also good. A lot of these times on the qualifying are going to be a little bit skewed because it was open qualifying, and vRunoffs' reputation preceded him. So there are a lot of guys maybe trying to sit on the tail of the Roland Estonian and try to move themselves a little farther up.
As we watch Sanchez, currently sitting in third, work his way around on one of his last laps. He's a whole 4/10 down from vRunoffs, which is even more surprising since, like you said, Bill, there's that draft that you can maybe pick up on some quicker drivers or even slower drivers that if you duck in and can get around them before you get to the next curve on the course. But it has been incredibly close through the field, even though we have, 40 drivers have put a time in qualifying. Out of those 40 drivers, only 6 seconds. And honestly, there's 2 seconds gap between 39th and 40th. So 4 seconds, really, if you think about it, between 39 drivers out on track. That's a pretty small margin for a track this long.
Yeah, absolutely. And vRunoffs did a little stealthy stepping, as I'd like to say, as he tried to make sure that he qualified by himself and nobody could stay on his coattails. The good news for us here with this large field is we have a rolling start, so it'll give us a little time to get through the grid.
All right, checkered flag is out, so we're letting cars complete their hot laps trying to see if I can catch anybody who's far up the field who could be trying to get a time in here at the end. And looks like most of the drivers actually that are getting their last of their lap tend to be a little bit farther down in the qualifying order. I see Austin Winter currently sitting in 10th with a 2 flat 0.7. Oh, and I understand Plumley maybe is coming around to get his lap in, but I don't see him very far up on the timing sheets. He's down in 21st, and he's not going to complete his lap. He's going to come in. Let's see if there's anybody else. Oh, actually, Kane Halliburton sitting in second. We missed that. He overtook Charlie Summers while we weren't looking, down to a 2 flat 0.011. And he is going to try and complete his lap. He should have enough time to get around for there. Alejandro Sanchez as well is going to have enough time to come around. He sits in 4th. So those are really the 2 drivers we want to keep an eye on to see if they can topple vRunoffs. Closest right now, Halliburton at just under 2/10 behind the Roland Estonian.
Halliburton, Summers, and Sanchez all pretty close together. Num still almost almost 2/10 of a second faster. It won't matter, though. It won't matter. Look for a long train to form up early. And what Errol Num will try to do, he'll try to run fast. I've done a lot of these before with him. He's out in front. He will try to run fast and try to shrink the train, try to get the train. He doesn't want it to be 12. If he can make it a 6-car train, that's what he likes. Then maybe watch for him about, 10, 15 minutes into the race to drop back a little bit, save some fuel.
And if I wasn't mistaken, it looked like Halliburton actually took the Abbey chicane instead of the kink. I'm not sure why he did that, but that'll mean that his lap is not going to count anyway. So Sanchez comes on in as well, and that is our qualifying over. So let's go through our grid order, starting with the pole. vRunoffs, Roland Estonian, up at the top. Not much of a surprise if you watch many of the GSRC broadcasts. Kane Halliburton will be on the outside of the front row. Charlie Summers starts row 2 in 3rd with Alejandro Sanchez in 4th. Then you've got Dave Legatti in 5th, and Jason Perry gets himself up into 6th. Josh Arnold starts in P7. He's followed by Edward Doherty in 8th and Stephen Elson in 9th. Rounding out the top 10, Bill, is Austin Winter.
A pair of Chauvins book in Flavio Satanino. Felipe is in 11th. Julian is in 13th. And Flavio is in 12th. We get down to 14th. It's Richard Yolland. Antonio Reese is in the 15th spot. All ribbons and curls in the Sweet 16 is Rob Fierce. Don't worry, though, because Francisco Bernardo is out behind him, the Italian driver. Michael Shaw, Simeon Lynch behind him. And then we get into 20th position. It is Donald Fitterer.
Robert Plumley starts in the blackjack spot of 21st with Alejandro Lero in 22nd. C. Love, who still is a mystery on his first name, is starting in 23rd. Someday we'll find out what in the world that stands for. Paul Godin starts 24th. Pepe Vasquez Martinez in 25th. Wayne Pollard next to him in the 26th spot. Then you've got Fred Desai starting 27th and Richard Franco starting in 28th. Getting back to the next row in 29th, it'll be Adam Bradshaw, followed by league organizer Steve Ray in 30th.
Row 16 is populated by Ian Wilson and Niels Dawkin. Gary Wolbart and Niels Sankowski behind them. We get down to a man we know from the SCCS, that is the 3-class race that we cover here on GSRC that includes the SRFs, and that is Jeffrey Gamble. Johan Venter behind him. 37th, 38th, 39th, and 40th. Goes to Tom Grandel, Gary Kyle, Bob Kern, and Mats Sejoblum.
Christopher Keeble did not get a qualifying time in 41st. Neither did Richard Valley, and I'm not sure. Let's see. Valley's lining up. Keeble does not seem to have taken to the grid, so I do not believe he'll be taking part in this race today. And as you can see, it is a rolling start. You get a whole pace lap around behind the roof pace car. Then we go racing for 40 minutes, including a pit stop for the first time in the Week 13 SRF Big Grid Race. The first one, technically, of 2018, although 2018 Season 1 began in December. So this is Season 2 here in 2018. Second time that we're doing it in the official 2018 season for iRacing as the roof pace car now peels away and heads toward Cops. This is one of those corners you mentioned, Bill, this first corner, this fast right-hander, where I feel like we're going to see a lot of incidents picked up because that's paved runoff off to the left.
Boy, it goes on for a mile out there, and you can actually go out there and not lose a ton of time. So yeah, you can pick up some incidents. The good news about Silverstone is it's a friendly track as far as the walls go. There's a good chance you can spin the car without getting into something that's going to dent it up for the most part. Let's talk about the pit stops a little bit and what that means for strategy. If I was a driver with talent, I have no idea. I can only fantasize about that situation. But if I were Aero Numb, I would not be crazy about these new rules because it brings in that randomness of the stop that iRacing seems to have, Joe. And we've seen enough of these broadcasts to know that in these lower classes and the slower cars like the MX-5s or these SRFs, that randomness for a stop seems to be greater with a larger margin between pit stop times than it would if we're doing like a Formula One race or a NASCAR race.
Much to the dismay of these drivers, I'm sure, as they weave their way through that Maggots-Beckett sequence and now on to the hangar straight. You and I are talking a little bit about that series of S's at the start of the lap for the first lap and how that's going to play. Now, I know you are ever the optimist, Bill, and like to play things on the positive side, but you're also a gambling man. So what are the chances in your mind of us seeing an incident on that first lap when we've got 40 cars trying to pile into that left, right?
I have mixed emotions about it. On one thing, if this were a league race where the points would count, you would think, well, people would be more careful because they don't want to make a mistake. On the other hand, they take it more seriously and they want to get every point they can. So let's look on the flip side. This is a fun race where everybody is just doing it. There are no points. We're just out here to have a good time. Well, you would think that points don't matter. We can take it easy, get single file. On the other flip side, you say points don't matter. Let's have some fun. Yeah, Joe, I just think they're getting everybody through 40 cars through Maggots and Beckett's. Maggots and Beckett's, I would think, would be a long shot. They did talk about no orange zones. There are no rules about passing. They get to do whatever they like. So let's have some fun.
Well, the unfortunate side when the points don't matter is that when you get into a twisty bit, everyone's asking whose line is it anyway. So as we just about get to the end of this lap, now into the technical portion you were talking about, I'm with you on this one, Bill, that, God, I know they've changed it since then. This is not the updated Silverstone that we see right now, where they've gotten rid of the bridge, Priory, and so on, down to where it rejoins at Brooklands on the modern Silverstone. But boy, I feel like it breaks the flow of what was once a very fast track.
You're just having a good time all the way around. Then you get over here and it's parking lot. But it makes the track interesting. Then this final corner that they're going through right here that never seems to end. I have to be really patient before I get on the throttle. Our pace car will pull off and we'll get this thing underway.
Out of Luffield. And there he goes, cutting a little bit across the grass, actually. Roof pace car driver might need a few lessons, but the green flag comes out. Aero Numb has control of the field. These momentum cars take a while to get wound up. Already, though, we're seeing someone duck around the outside of second place.
Oh,
and is that
Sanchez?
As they come
Sanchez going on the grass.
Oh, and we've got a car tumbling over. We'll get back to that in a second. A few drivers going three wide coming out of that first right-hander up to the Maggots-Beckett sequence. We didn't even need to get to the S's until we saw a tragedy. And now they fly into here. Very fast entry, getting the cars woed up. Most of them up at the front getting single file.
That was Michael Shaw. If we want to get a replay of that when the action allows, boy, he went for a barrel roll.
And it was the reverse of expectations. It's pretty timid towards the back coming through the Maggots-Beckett sequence. Everybody gets through there just fine, and already our leaders now coming up to Stowe Corner. Few shuffling a little bit farther back. I believe that was Flavio Saturnino and Josh Arnold getting into it. Oh, and who is that slowing down? That's Saturnino, actually, losing in multiple positions coming out of Stowe.
Might have been a slowdown penalty. What was interesting was the aggressiveness of Alejandro Sanchez on the very opening as he took the car off onto the English Tundra to try to pick up some positions. Up front, Numb not able to get away. In fact, let's look at third place right now if we can. There's that battle. Sanchez is the star of the show so far. Oh, that is, Summers is off in the beach.
And he pulls all the way off and stops the car. He might have some other issue besides just being offline there. That looked a little bit unusual.
Sean and I have done a lot of AOR events. His Achilles heels is his internet connection, and I think he had another one. Charlie Summers falls victim to a bad connection.
I have a feeling he's already yelling at you for bringing it up again. So, as you mentioned, Sanchez not able to get past Halliburton, who continues to hold on to the tail of Ironama as they complete lap 1. And because of Summers now falling away, that leaves Dave Ligotti with quite a gap to try and make up on our podium.
We're covering up front. We'll get back to the farther back in a minute, but this is what Num wanted. I talked about how he wanted to lessen the amount of cars in the train. Well, now it's only 3. Ligotti's got his work cut out for him as he is a second behind Sanchez.
I wonder if we could jump back to 12th, Francesco Bernardo, as he's in a nice close fight with Rob Fears coming through into Chapel now and onto the hangar straight. Going to get a good whiff of the draft, will Rob Fears. He's in the orange and gray machine that you can see behind in the 2. Tucks in there, tries to get into the slipstream. Is he going to duck out before Stowe? No, he's going to elect to stay in line.
I think almost maybe a little bit of a bump draft there in the SRF to get Bernardo a little faster, the Italian driver, down into Stowe. And they do. They close up a little bit off Lynch now, who's in 11th. If we can drop back a little bit farther, let's go back to 14th, though. This is Robert Sugar Plumley making a move, and he gets around Pepe Martinez.
I think Martinez was actually going or making the attack on Plumley. So if anything, it was great defense from Robert. Right. And now Martinez has to look behind him because Antonio Reese gets a good run coming out of club. They approach bridge. Not much braking into here. Plumley Martinez gets on the back of Plumley, ducks to the inside before they get to Priory. He's got a nose in if he wants it, but Plumley gives him space, even though he could have chopped him off at the apex.
7-car battle back there for that position in 14th, and it includes C. Love, Richard Franco, and Fred Dressix.
They are just accordioning together, and also don't worry, we understand there's a bit of an iRacing bug with the driver helmets disappearing, but there are no pumpkins that are going to be thrown from horses out there, we assure you.
It's gloomy enough. Is that
As we jump back up to Fears, still in this fight with the car of Simeon Lynch now up ahead. And actually, Bernardo has gotten past Lynch when we weren't looking as they come on to lap 3 and now enter the Maggots Beckett sequence once more.
They're starting to break up into little triplets and quartets right now. With this, we have a 3-car battle here for 11th between Bernardo, Lynch, and Fears. If we go up a little bit, there's another 3-car battle. We go up to 8th position. This is Saturnino being passed right now. Here comes Chauvin making a move.
Julian and down to the inside of Stowe. Ooh, almost got run into the back of by Saturnino, Bill.
And, when I made a point of it when I was calling out the grid that Saturnino had a pair of brothers, I'm assuming they're brothers, maybe they're husband and wife, I don't know, racing against Julian there and Felipe, the Chauvin, they're brothers from France.
And meanwhile, we understand that Plumley, and a problem behind Plumley, big accident. That's Antonio Reese and Adam Bradshaw coming through Vale.
Oh, on board from Bradshaw would really be the one after we look at it first from above. This is one where AJ Foyt used to preach, you aim at the car that's spinning, and when you get there, then it won't be there at the time. I'm not sure if that actually worked. We got it just at the tail end. We'll see if we can look one more time from the cockpit of Bradshaw, if we can get it on. And you be the driver at home. You decide where you want to go. Here you are.
And this started when Reese actually got into the side of C. Love, going too wide through. Vale just did not work. Oh. As we come back live, incredibly hard hit.
Adam Bradshaw going to watch the replay of this. He goes, thank you, Soup, for your driving help on that one. Where were you when I needed you?
So, still up at the front, not missing anything. Those 3, Noam, Halliburton, and Sanchez, have now stretched themselves to 2.5 seconds past Jason Perry, who now sits in 4th. He's gotten past Ligotti, who was in that 4th position when we last looked earlier in the race.
There is a guy on the move. If we can look at 7th position back there, you'll see him in the white car. It is Josh Arnold. He, little by little, was able to run down the 3 cars in 4th position. Perry, Legatti, and trying to get down the back of Austin Winter. Boy, I wanted to have that last name. It's a race car driver. So Josh Arnold is coming, and he's bringing along with him that 3-car train. Remember, we talked about the Chauvin brothers and Saturnino as well.
You can see the gaps between the 2 trains and the way that they separate out. And with it being this early, that could be oh so critical to the rest of the race, although we haven't hit traffic yet. And that will absolutely be a factor, especially, I would think, in the final sector, Bill.
Yeah, as we look at this battle continue back there for 8th, the front 3 are all behaving. I think they've all got the memo. We are just going to put in some lap times right now and make sure that nobody else gets into a chance to win this thing. Oh, well, that was a nice Dougie Beer shot. There is that white car again.
Yeah, Chauvin trying to get around the outside through Priory on Josh Arnold. They come together, touch wheels just slightly as they stay side by side. Now through Brooklyn's a big slide, though, from Chauvin. He collects it back together, but not without losing a ton of time. And now he's got Saturnino up his tailpipe.
And Felipe back there watching the whole thing. That's a great battle going on. It's been going on the whole time from 8th position. Really, really clean race so far as we look over the, what would that be, the right shoulder of Josh?
And that car that you saw slow, that's Bob Kern, who is a lap down. That's the first of our traffic, but I think that is unusual that we'll see him get lapped that early. Most of the drivers are still well up ahead of Ironam and not in danger of going a lap down. As we stay on Chauvin in the midst of this very intense fight for this early in the race. Car behind him, Saturnino, tries to get himself a good run coming onto the hangar straight, but fails miserably.
Boy, you can see him coming right at you. Look at how the draft plays. Let's see if anybody darts out here on screen. If anybody's going to make a move, nope. They're going to take it right in there. Stay in line.
But we just watched Saturnino with a very late move onto Chauvin coming through Stowe and gets himself successfully into 8th. As they now come up to club. Saturnino certainly been in the thick of it since the green dropped.
So now Saturnino has the 2 brothers behind him, and he's got Josh Arnold in front of him. I'm going to give you that interval from Winner, who's in 6th, back to Arnold, and that is only 1.4 seconds. Let's go up to 5th position right now as we have a successful pass from Dave Leggetti. He moves up around Jason Perry.
Those 2 have been swapping back and forth a little bit since the race started, but the driver that I'm interested in is behind them, Austin Winter. I don't think he's really done anything to get into the mix of those 2, so he's probably going to be saving fuel since he's in the slipstream of 2 cars.
Right, if you're scoring at home, write down these 3 names, Leggetti, Perry, and Winner. When the pit stops come, don't be surprised if you don't see Austin out in front.
Come around to the front stretch once again out of Woodcote. This time it's Legatti who leads in 4th in this train. Perry pulls up behind him, lifts before they get to Copps. They're all going to stay line astern. They're starting to lose a little bit of ground, though, to the car behind as Josh Arnold seems to have reeled them in, Bill.
Oh, let's not say lose ground. Let's use the glass half full. Let's say that Arnold is gaining on him. Let's do it that way. And yeah, we've been talking about it, though. Josh Arnold he's not been in that mix. Remember, we were watching Saturnino and the 2 Chauvin brothers. He's been out in front the whole time, and yeah, here he comes. He got there before. He made a mistake. He had to do it all over again, but he won't be long. Saturnino, though, may not want to wait as he's right behind. Look at that. He's going to duck out. That's the Italian driver taking a peek underneath.
With a nice slingshot up the hangar straight. Ahead of them, they're going to stay line astern. No, they are not, actually. Jason Perry makes a move to the inside of Legatti, coming through Stowe, and does it textbook maneuver to get himself back into 4th yet again. And all that does is slow this train of 3 up. And now you can see Saturnino solidly onto the tail of Winter.
All right, I try to add a little color. Sometimes I shoot myself in the foot. Flavio is from the Iberian Peninsula, so that's either Spain or Portugal, not Italy.
I always check to see what club people are in, and here comes Winter. Winter's tired of waiting around now that the other cars have caught up to him. He's going to pass Ligotti as they go through bridge. In fact, Ligotti's going to lose 3 positions potentially as they hit Priory. He does, in fact. Even Josh Arnold slips through.
Winner up to 5th. I can confirm this. He's a Buckeye. He is from Ohio.
Well, let's see what he can do on the UK&I driver of Jason Perry. Spider-Man leads the way. He seems to like to be up at the front. Ligotti has lost the opportunity to do that for now as he continues to tumble down to the back of this train. And here comes Winner with a big run. Elects not to make the pass, though.
Yeah, the memo that the front 3 got about behaving did not get to these guys, as they're having a lot of fun back here from 4th on back.
That front has changed at least once since we last looked. Sanchez is now in 2nd. Halliburton is in 3rd. But I don't believe they've been fighting too hard as, wow, Winner almost gets a punt to the rear. We got a car off behind them. That's Julian Chauvin.
He just got loose all by himself. Again, we talked about the runoff area. He was able to loop the car around without hitting anything. He's going to come back out, but it looks like he's going to cycle all the way down to about 16th position when it's said and done. Here's the replay.
Yeah, these corners, this left, right, left through Maggots and Beckett's certainly makes it tough to try and keep control of the rear of the car as you're always lifting. Always able to get back onto the gas when you want to, when the car is unsettled.
One of the hardest things for me to learn when I was just beginning to iRace in these cars was if the tail starts to come around on you, actually, if you get on the throttle, it'll actually weight the car down a little bit and make it stick. One of the worst things you can do is when the car starts to get around is get off the gas. It's as unlogical as that seems.
As we look at Chauvin, we might want to jump back up to Winner because he's now getting himself into 4th past Jason Perry. He outbrakes him into Priory and gets the job done, what he started in bridge. Perry slipping down another spot as Saturnino continues his climb forward. He's now into 5th, having started 12th. Oh, and I spoke too soon. Here comes Perry back at him through Luffield.
Boy, that fighting will not stop. And now it's got, we talked about it was 3 cars, and now it's turned into that, well, now 6-car train with the loss of one of the Chauvin boys.
Well, and Saturnino can tell he's making a smart move. He didn't try to pass Perry onto the inside of Copps. Instead, he was pushing him because he could see that the car of Winner was starting to gap this whole group. Now, Rob Fierce has gone into the pits. Trying to see if I could find any damage.
Could be close. I said the window is going to be between 25 and 35. Well, that's right there right now. I hate to leave that battle we were on. Let's go to 17th position. I want to give this guy a little love. I'm talking about Neil Sinkowski. Why am I talking about him? He's our hard charger, up 17 spots. Started in 34th, now currently racing in 17th. He's got behind him the cars of Fred Tresix and Neil Dawkins.
Well, while that was happening, Rob Fierce has come back out, and to give us a little bit of an idea of where drivers will cycle through, Fierce returns to the track in 28th, I'm seeing.
Still on the lead lap.
Don't need to go to it, but Gary Wohlbolt had an incident coming through Maggots Beckett's, very similar to Chauvin's, just spun himself off, and he returns back in 26th.
Let's take this opportunity to get a little love to some of these guys we haven't talked much about. Here's a guy all by himself, 10th position director. Here we go to Simeon Lynch. He's got 6 seconds to get to the driver in 9th and 2.5 seconds to get to the driver in 11th. He's out there racing all by himself. Drop back, maybe we'll talk about the guys 11th, 12th, and 13th. That's Francisco Bernardo. Julian Chauvin, of course, after that spin, that's where he cycled in 12th. And Robert Sugar Plumley racing out there, and I'm going to say that's a yellow car.
You're correct. Yellow, and he's got, I think, blue sides on the car, it looks like.
Blue trim, 147. Good to see Robert racing with us.
And actually, you know, we mentioned Simeon. We saw a little bit of battle damage on him, but he's doing a fine job going from 19th to 10th. So Lynch has got the bit between his teeth. As we see that red, white, and blue number 12 on screen once again. See if he can keep that up as the race goes on, though, and strategy starts to come into play for the first time in the SRF Big Grid Race.
with those 3 cars up in front, so much is going to depend now on getting into pit lane, getting off of pit lane, and hoping that you put it in the box right, and then hoping that iRacing is kind to you and doesn't give you a slow pit crew.
Boy, this second group still led by Austin Winter. Perry's not gotten past him, or if he has, he's switched back when we last looked, and that's going to change potentially because Saturnino's taken another peek, and he's going to box Perry in, so even if he wanted to, he couldn't have a go on Winter, but Saturnino is going to give it a try.
And 2, maybe. No! Thought he was going to get a 2 for there. A little double scoop at the pass. Can't get it done through Stowe. So they head down into club.
Boy, Flavio has certainly been aggressive this race. Not in a bad way, though, I should say. He's just really been a hard charger and not really sat on his laurels at all. When he gets an opportunity, he takes it.
Yeah, honestly, these 6 guys right here could merit an entire 40 minutes of coverage right on them. Here comes the pass again. Here comes Saturnino.
Proving my description true. Oh, wow, he cut that close. And it loses a bit of the rear of the car coming through Priory, and he pays for it. Winter goes past him. Perry can't take advantage of it, so Flavio briefly held 4th position and immediately hands it back.
Boy, and he struggled with that car even after he got it, which gave Winter a chance to get away. But unfortunately, Austin, I don't think you're going anywhere. We'll see if these guys can run you down.
Right now, the only scheduled stop we've still seen is Rob Veers. Everybody else is playing the long game. So we ride on board with Jason Perry, who's boxed in yet again. And this time it's Josh Arnold who gets by, but Saturnino is way off into the parking lot. Finds his way back to the track without losing a position. Josh Arnold can't say the same as he's now side by side with Perry heading into the Maggots-Beckett sequence. This is going to be tricky for both drivers. Nobody's willing to give up, though, Bill.
Watching the whole thing back there is Ligeti in 8th position. They're having fun, but they're killing their lap times, and they're losing a lot of distance, not only to Saturnino, but to Winter.
Oh, they've absolutely lost the draft. Ligeti, though, now coming up to the inside of Arnold as they come down the hanger straight. Perry might lose a position as well, but no, he's late on the brakes. And it looks like as Ligeti continues to hold that inside line, it switches back now as they head towards Vale, and Dave has to give up the ghost.
Yeah, it is from Perry up to Saturnino. It's 9/10 of a second. He's just on the tail end of the draft, and then from Perry up to Winter a whole second. So, Winter, I said, Austin, you're not going anywhere, but I didn't realize they were going to have such horseplay behind you.
And as we watch them go off of club, for any of our viewers wondering, that is legal, exiting off into that paved area. iRacing does not count that as an incident.
Hallenberden from 3rd position has spun.
Oh, wow. Major implications for the race lead. He was already dropping back, Bill.
Yeah.
We hadn't noticed it.
He had fell off the pace. I'm not sure why. The tail end was a spin, but he had already dropped off, so there must have been some issue before that.
That looks like through Priory that happened.
I think he got a slowdown penalty, and that's what he had to pay it. Then he lost the draft, and then he had that spin.
And you can see on your screen that brings Austin Winter, our 4th place driver, up with him. So is this going to slow down Austin, or will they play nice with one another? Maybe leapfrog and pick the pace up. But the bigger thing that we need to watch then is it's now gone from 3 to 2. Noam and Sanchez, your only players in contention for the lead for now. That could change. But as it stands, with 26 minutes into this race, these two are looking like the most likely to take home P1.
Now, it does change the nature of what's going on up front. Now, I told you what Errol Num likes to do. He likes to go out there and race and watch the train shorten. Well, now, Joe talked about it, it's down to 2. But now they can't be out there just comfortable like they were before, because they've got to watch the gap from Sanchez back to Hallenberden. The good news is that gap, 10 seconds. So I'm not sure, even no matter how much dance steps Hallenberden works out with Winter, I can't imagine they're going to make up that 10-second gap unless something really bad happens up front.
Had a few more cars come in for scheduled stops. Pepe Martinez and Richard Franco have come in and out. Only other 2 that we've seen, though. Everyone else still waiting for their scheduled stop. Coming over to 11th place, Bernardo. Still in a good fight with Plumley. These two not able to get away from one another. And Julian Chauvin has reeled them in to make it a 3-car fight if he can just get maybe a couple tenths closer.
Well, watch this battle. We don't need to go there. I'll just update you. Remember, we talked about Rob Fierce making that early stop. He continues to be the leaders of all the cars who have pitted, currently racing in 20th.
Climbs up the order as he passes cars who are slower and inherits spots from the couple that have also pitted now.
He's 51 seconds behind the leader. As we continue to watch Plumley try to run down.
And for Fierce fans, that 50 seconds is not going to be close enough. We're seeing about a 37 to 40 second pit bogey time from line to line. So that is your marker if you're watching your favorite driver to see where exactly they will cycle out in.
Could be top 10-ish, though. I think there's about 9 or 10 drivers he might be able to get when they all need to come in.
Meanwhile, we missed it, but Winner has lost a spot to Halliburton. Excuse me, no, Halliburton has not lost a spot to Winner yet, I should say. Winner, we mentioned, had caught up to him, and in fact, he's going to have a run on him, but he lifts.
What has happened is Saturnino now has got back in the mix. I really thought that Halliburton and Winner would start to do a little waltz, swap positions, gain a couple car lengths each lap. That didn't happen. They just kind of held that spot, so that allowed the rest of those guys back into the mix.
Well, what's significant is we can see in that train, there's Perry. We can see just flashes of him. He's separated from Arnold and Legatti. So these guys starting to maybe break this train up significantly into 2 different trains.
That really has been the action on the track. Poor Kane Halliburton doesn't know what he's getting in store for, falling back with these guys. A little different racing back here for 4th than it was for the lead.
Well, so far they've been playing very tamely.
Yep.
I think it's going to be after the pit stops they really start to see it erupt as a big slide from Halliburton coming out of Brooklands. Checks everybody up behind him. Possibly a little contact between Winner and Saturnino there coming through Luffield.
Let me steal you back to 11th. I hate to jump around so much with this. I got my spidey senses tingling here. This is, again, Bernardo and Plumley. It's cooled off a little bit, but look who else is back there. This is Julius Chauvin. Remember, he was up in that second pack a little earlier.
Pit?
Up.
No, 2.
Yeah, it got so intense that I think Bernardo and Plumley said, let's get out of here. So they come in. It'll be interesting now to see these guys in relationships to Fierce.
Well, and that was incredibly clever by Chauvin, we should point out, knowing that he caught those drivers, that he can run by himself and maybe leapfrog them, being out on track. Meanwhile, Ironam, we missed it, our leader, has come in and out. He cycles back out in 10th position.
Stop was 10.6 in the box, 33 from cone to cone. Keep those numbers in mind when we see the other guys stop. Now, this is bad news for Chavez and these guys up front. I'm surprised they let him do that because they're not as fast as Chavez is not as fast as Num right now. This is the best thing that could happen for Num is Chavez to stay out there and try to hot lap.
There we see Legatti has now taken his stop, but Num, our highest pitter, and Sanchez has stayed out, but he's been riding behind both Sanchez and Halliburton for much of this race. Could have been saving fuel. So let's keep an eye on Sanchez as he comes up to Priory. Currently our leader, but has not taken his stop yet.
Sanchez thinking goes, okay, maybe I'm not as fast, but at least I have clear air in front of me. There's no reason. I don't want to get back there and have to deal with traffic. The bad news for Sanchez is Aero Num is all by himself right now. He's got about 2 seconds before he gets up to Julian Chauvin in 9th position. So he can still put in some hot laps.
And there's not clear air in front of Sanchez right now as he's caught Matt Solblum, and he knows it. He pulls into the pits immediately to keep himself from being held up.
So what we can do now is pick up Aero Num. He's just working into Brooklands right now. Boy, he seems awfully close to the pit exit. He's going around Luffield. Sanchez yet to get to his box.
But the good news for Sanchez is his box is way up towards the front, having qualified in 4th. Can pretty much just get onto the power immediately. Num is coming across the line now. Sanchez is going.
He's rolling.
There we see Num coming up to Cops. Sanchez. I
Gonna get
think
him.
Sanchez has got him.
Yes, indeed.
Not by a huge margin, though. Iro Nam still holding to within what looks like about a second gap between them.
So how did that happen? Sanchez was a second 0.3 faster in the box, and my goodness, almost a second and a half faster from cone to cone. That'll do it. They're all coming now.
All the
Chauvin,
drivers,
Winner, Ligotti, Lynch.
everybody playing that long game, have now hit the end of their fuel limit. So, drivers were still waiting to pit up at the top are Halliburton, Perry, Arnold, and Saturnino. Otherwise, almost everybody on down has come in.
Let's go to 11th real quick. Rob Fierce. Remember him? He's the early peel, late reveal. That's what my dad used to say. You peel in early, what's revealed later? Hey, look who it is. Well, he's up in 11th. I said he might have a shot at a top 10. He still might with those 4 drivers that Joe just mentioned. Halliburton, Perry, Arnold, and Saturnino still needing to come in.
Yeah, he's about 27 seconds behind them, so I think he'll jump every single one of them. We watch the number 74 work his way around. Where are our leaders? Halliburton's going to stay out one more time. Jason Perry, however, comes in. Arnold comes in. Saturnino comes in. So at this point, only waiting on a single car to finish his stop.
Again, Halliburton qualified second. He maybe feels confident about his pace. We'll see if we can pick up some of the drivers. Sanchez is going to come by right now. Get that spot.
So will Num. And in fact, Num hovering just about that second behind that I mentioned before, and I think he's closing.
Yeah, definitely. Now rolling out. Oh, that's a car 131 laps down. Here comes the first guy out that has a meeting here. Jason Perry is out. Looks like he's going to cycle out in what I believe will be 4th.
Oh, and actually, I think pretty far ahead of Austin Winter, who he was behind before the stop.
Good call, Joe. It's Winter and Chauvin, the Felipe Chauvin coming. But yeah, Winter has lost ground. So those 3 guys are out. Perry, Saturnino, and Arnold all on the front of Winter.
So, Bill, put yourself in Sanchez's shoes. You've got Iro Num behind you. You can tell he's got better pace, even though you've jumped him in the stops. Do you fight to hold him back, or do you let him by and just ride on his draft?
Yeah, I would think because my pit stop was so much faster than his, I would be a little bit worried about fuel. If I was Errol Num, I'd say, you go ahead and race up there and burn. You're not going to save on me. Right now, if I was Kane Halliburton, what I need is for Godzilla to rise up out of the sea and have this race called due to some type of monster attack. They've gone over halfway because Halliburton's out in front, but he has to make a stop.
Unfortunately, I don't think Japanese monsters exist in the channel, so Kane will have to wait for another day. And in fact, is he going to come in now as we watch our leader?
Come in.
Yep, there he is now.
So now we expect that Sanchez and Num should get him. The question is, he was racing with Winter. It'll be interesting to see how he comes out in relationship with Winter and the guys who got around him.
And Winter seemed to have had a slow stop based on what we saw. So
very slow.
That long pit lane that they have to come down.
Winter was in his box for 17.4 seconds.
And the lead is under threat because Iro Nam now looking around the outside of Cops on Sanchez. He defends through the first corner, but could we see an over-under? Tries to carry the speed, and for now, Alejandro is going to hold on to it.
We look at that battle. You talk about what's going on. There might be also a little feeling out here, like boxers trying to see where the moves are. Where can I land a punch?
Behind them, Halliburton has exited. Sorry, Bill. And he's come back out solidly in third, way ahead of Perry.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Remember, Halliburton was back there with Winter. So after the pit stop, Halliburton really, really, really did well. Of course, his stop was only 9.1 seconds. Let me do a little sorting. And that is... that's one of the fastest stops of any driver out there. So you're saying, well, yeah, Soup, he stopped for less because he's ran the longest. He has, doesn't have as far to go. They start with the same fuel. They need the same amount of fuel. But maybe it means Halliburton is a little light on the throttle, though.
8 minutes left to go on the clock, and Sanchez still holds on to the lead. But how long? vRunoffs has been the class of the field, led most of the way, only lost it under pit stops.
He
gets a fantastic run coming through Abbey. He's going to be on the outside through Bridge. If he's brave on the brakes, he could take it. He is. He carries a lot of speed in, but now he's got to get slowed up for Priory. And it's job done for the Roland Estonian. Or is it? Coming back to the inside. Beautiful move by Sanchez. Ducks his nose in, down into Brooklands. It's going to switch back into Luffield, though. It'll be hard to complete the pass around here. A long 180-degree right-hander for Alejandro Sanchez. And no, he's denied.
But he has some momentum coming off of there. Can he get a run down the straight?
He's not giving up. He is fighting tooth and nail for this first spot. He isn't worried about fuel at all as they now come to cop side by side. This time, the inside is going to go to Nom, but the momentum once again in a beautiful job of car control. We see Alejandro Sanchez really fending off an incredibly fast Estonian driver.
That was side-by-side racing for half a lap.
I've seen very few drivers been able to go toe-to-toe with vRunoffs, especially around the outside of a corner, and hold on to the lead. That is a marker put into the sand by Alejandro Sanchez. Here comes vRunoffs down the hanger straight, gets squeezed all the way to the inside of the track. Sanchez weaves back to the racing line. He's done it once. Can he do it again? But up to the apex, Nom is going to be able to take the lead. We saw the over-under once before, and Sanchez is going to try it again. Are they going to go too wide through Vale, Bill? It's going to switch to the inside through Club, and once again, Sanchez denies him.
Look at the drive from Sanchez. Now he's way wide. Boy, the pass was made originally by Errol Num. He did not show his cards to the very end. Sanchez took his half right out of the middle. Num got right behind him, then ducked to the inside. Sanchez did not give up. Just under 6 minutes of racing to go.
Exactly, and I'm not sure how often we're going to be able to duck away from what is a battle of titans. As we know, vRunoffs, he's a known factor here, but I'm not sure that we've seen Alejandro Sanchez on a broadcast. If we have, he has not been this big of a player before. They work their way through the final corner. Sanchez with a big slide early on, but he holds on to it and somehow keeps the speed.
Sanchez qualified fourth, but he was almost, oh my goodness, over a second. Wow, about a half a second slower.
And
here he comes.
Yep, he's got a good run, but he lifts before they get to cops. And we should point out, these two are effectively free to fight as much as they want because they've got 10 seconds back to third place. Kane Halliburton is no threat. So the leashes have been taken off, and these dogs are ready to fight.
Honestly, I think the leaders have earned their screen time. We covered them, almost none of it before the pit stop, so now we can focus on them. We'll just talk to you just real quick. Halliburton comfortably in third. Nobody messing with him. Perry comfortable in fourth.
Last time we saw Noam duck all the way down to the inside. What is Sanchez going to do? He fends him off, takes it all the way to the grass this time. So what can Noam do from the outside? He tried it one way. Now he's going to try it the other. Looks for the over-under like we saw from Sanchez. But it doesn't work as well. Something of what Sanchez has off of these corners is just keeping Nom at bay.
Open setups. The cars are not identical, but honestly, you can't do a whole bunch of things to these SRFs. Now look at the run that Roland Estonian has now. Will he try to do something down into Bridge?
Oh, he gets immediately into the slipstream, uses that speed to get to the inside of Abbey.
Oh.
We saw this move as well before. As last time, though, he was farther up ahead. This time, Sanchez much stronger through Bridge, and Num's going to back out of it before they get to Priory.
Going through Abbey, Num put the left side of the car up onto the curbs. It really took a bounce. Great car control from Num.
Boy, somebody tell the tabloid rags because Sanchez has arrived. We have seen so few drivers as fast and as strong as vRunoffs, and today Alejandro Sanchez, with a mere 3 minutes left on the clock, is looking like he could take the win if he could just keep this up for a few more minutes.
Somebody sent Alejandro Sanchez a GSRC calendar to show him when these races are. We want to see more of him.
And he's starting to put a gap on Noam even. Iro has backed off slightly. I believe we're going to see 2 laps to go here. Into the Maggots-Beckett sequence. Could Noam be setting himself up? Could he be backing off maybe to get himself a better run, more momentum down the hanger straight? Let's see just how clever he is. We know he's an incredibly smart driver. Prost-like in the way he can just figure out how the race is flowing and use it to his advantage. But no, he's too far back, and the speed is not going to help him, as we see from the gearbox of Sanchez.
Just waiting. I guess he doesn't want to make the move yet. And again, remember, fuel an issue could be for both of these guys, as their stops were both really fast compared to the rest of the field.
A lap and a half to go now. Coming off of club. Wow, great run once again, but last time it didn't work. In fact, twice it didn't work. Oh, and a big lift there from Noam. Noam is not convinced that it's worth trying it here.
This might be a case where I have to be fast enough to stay in the lead, but slow enough to have enough fuel to get to the end.
Also, a bit of an update. We got some information that Philippe Chauvin is the father and Julian is the son, so not a brother pair.
That's good. That's good to know.
Great to see them out there.
I gotta pull for Dad. I'll tell you right now. When you're my age, you're pulling for the dad to still teaching lessons.
I can tell you how fun it is getting to drive with your father, as my dad is actually out here on iRacing and get to compete with him. But right now, all eyes are on these two. White flag is out. Sanchez leads. Iro Noam is in second. They come up to Cops. Noam decides not to have a go this time through. He'll get a bit of the slipstream as they come up to the Maggots-Beckett sequence. But once again, Noam not fast enough. He'll have to stay in line as they now weave back and forth, slowing the cars up. Each driver probably on the limit through here at this point, pushing to get everything they can. And now one of the most critical parts of the track. Noam is very close to Sanchez as they hit the hanger straight. He's gonna have the slipstream. Where is Sanchez gonna go? He's in the middle of the track right now. Is he going to fend off the inside? Noam hasn't decided yet. He drifts back to the racing line. No attempt from Noam. Now up into Stowe. Up and over the crest, down towards Vale. Still Noam not making the attack. He is waiting patiently. This is not very like Iro, Bill. I think he is setting something up.
This might be his last chance. Look, he drops back to get a run through club so he can get the pass made into bridge. Gonna go wide.
Foot firmly to the floor, but I think it may have been him. He went a little bit too wide. He is way too far back. The breaking into Priory is going to be his last good chance unless we see a mistake from Alejandro. They come up towards bridge. Definitely way too far back. Oh, he sends it in deep. Noam tries a desperate lunge, but he's just not close enough. They hit Priory. Still Sanchez firmly ahead. Just 3 more corners to go. Down through the left-hander of Brooklands. Noam looking for any way past, just having no way to try and sneak through. Sanchez takes it through Luffield, and then it's going to be flat out through the final corner of Woodcote. Alejandro Sanchez pulls the upset of the century as he takes the win in the big grid race here in Season 2.
Let's go to a replay of Saturnino, if we can. That we talked about this big incident. There was a battle with Winner. They got together in the final corner. Maybe our director can find it. It was worth looking at. Austin Winner would be a good one to find.
Halliburton gets third. Perry takes home a nicely earned fourth. And Saturnino will have to settle for fifth. How about the recovery from Chauvin, though? Remember his early incident? He finished in 9th today, after all is said and done.
Winner, after getting punted, he's going to come home in 11th. How about Rob Fears? Remember we talked about him? How about, we said top 10? A little better than that, 9th.
Poor Austin Winner is only going to grab 11th. He started 10th. He was looking so much better than that early in the race. as they continue to come across the line. Simeon Lynch, who we were watching, he manages 16th. Few drivers having spins at the end. That looks like Fred Desai and Adam Bradshaw having issues coming out of Brooklands. And poor Adam Bradshaw is trying to get that car going once again, having all kinds of trouble and continues to plummet down the order. He has to wait for cars to go by. Jeffrey Gambrell gets ahead of him in 22nd. Oh, we're hearing that Simeon Lynch actually did underfuel his car and have to take a second stop. Meanwhile, we got an update from Summers now that the race is over. He says that he had a memory error on lap 1 and froze the monitor on his computer. So unfortunately, that is what cost him what could have been a very good battle for the podium.
Well, he'll try to get this out of his memory.
Gosh. As the rest of the cars come across the line. With that, we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around, though, because on screen you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Silverstone Circuit. We just watched the 2018 Season 2 vRunoffs Big Grid Race with the SRF crew, and they gave us a fantastic battle there at the end that I certainly enjoyed. Unfortunately, we missed some of the battling that we were watching up until the leaders finished their pit stops. But Bill, you caught closely this incident with Winner.
Yeah, we want to give you this, put the exclamation point on this battle we've been watching the whole time. This is Winner was in a battle with Felipe Chauvin also in there, and Josh Arnold. They get together. That is Winner up in front. He'll make a turn down in, and Chauvin will get him, and poor Austin Winner will barrel roll here. It's coming up right here on this next left-hander, I think. Here it is. He dives down in there. The tail end gets there. He rolls over. Now, we're going to stick with this a minute. All right, so what Austin does, he gathers his wits about him, and he keeps going. He almost gets in another car. He brings it back out on the track. The car is crabbing horribly. He tries to get it out there. Whoa, it goes into the grass. Now let's go back and see if we can find Robert Sugar Plumley. Because as he brings it back out, there's Plumley in the yellow car. Coming right now, you'll see him. Plumley comes up right behind, and he gets loose, and he spins. And when it's all said and done, Winner is going to come home in 11th, and Robert Sugar Plumley gets 12th.
Unfortunate to see there. And in fact, why don't we go through our racing order, our finishing order, with Alejandro Sanchez really surprising us in the booth, taking the win, and Ironum finishing in second behind him. Then you've got Kane Halliburton grabbing a podium. A mistake early in the race really cost him an opportunity to possibly be in with that lead battle, but instead he found himself having to fight a rear guard. Jason Perry took fourth with Flavio Saturnino, one of the drivers of the race for me, qualified 12th and finished fifth. Great job from him. Dave Legatti takes home sixth, and then Josh Arnold finishes in seventh. Philippe Chauvin comes home in the eighth spot, with Rob Fears going from 16th to 9th. A little bit of strategy helped him on that, clearing the way. Rounding out the top 10, we have Francesco Bernardo. Bill?
We already documented the trials and tribulations of Austin Winner and Robert Plumley. So let's go to the driver who finishes in the baker's dozen spot, Julian Chauvin. Alejandro Liero in 14th position, followed by Niels Senkowski. All ribbons and curls in the Swiss 16 spot was Simeon Lynch. Niels Dawkins right behind him. 18th, 19th, and 20th goes to Richard Franco, Fred Dresex, and Gary Woolbolt.
Then you get back into the 20th position, or 21st position. Gary Kyle finishes there with Jeffrey Gambrell in 22nd. Richard Valley manages to get home in 23rd, having started in 42nd. What a climb from him. Ian Wilson going home 24th with Tom Gradwell in 25th. Then in P26, you've got Adam Bradshaw, followed by C. Love in 27th, Donald Fitterer in 28th, and Michael Shaw in 29th. Rounding out our top 30, unfortunately, it is Charlie Summers. Bill?
In 31st, still one lap down, it's Matt Sajoblum. Paul Godham goes after him. Wayne Palmer is next in 33rd. 34th and 35th is Johan Venter. And the happiest name in iRacing, Pepe Vasquez Martinez. Bob Kern is in 36th. The final drivers rounding out the field, Antonio Reese, Steve Ray, Edward Doherty, Stephen Elson, and Richard Yolland. I don't believe Christopher Keeble took the grid. Maybe he did. If he did, he finished 41 laps down.
I don't think he did either. Also, apologies. I believe that's Matt Solblum, being from Scandinavia. So that Y or J is a silent little letter there. I know that trips a lot of people up.
I worked so hard on that. Matt Solblum. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
We do have one driver to talk to who unfortunately won't have too much to celebrate, although he did give us a lot of excitement, and that is Austin Winner. And bringing him in, finishing 11th today. Austin, I'm sure you would have wanted more, but did you at least have fun out on track in the middle of the race? Because, boy, you were in some tight fights. Austin, do you got a copy?
I think he probably broke his mic when he barrel rolled there on the last lap.
A lot of equipment that needs to be replaced on that car. We'll give Austin just a little bit longer to try and see if he can get his mic set up before we try and give up on him. But certainly enjoyed watching Austin. He, of course, raced in the SCCS when we covered that last season. Austin, do you got your mic working now?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
There we go. Now we gotcha. So tell us a bit about those battles
that
you had.
Out on the track, running around with Jason Perry and Flavio. It was fun for a while. I think I got another long pit stop, which I didn't really expect. I don't know what I'm doing wrong there. Maybe I'm putting in too much fuel, and got caught back with some other guys. It was still fun to run with, and unfortunately got a little bit aggressive in the last lap, but that's to be expected.
And tell us about that last lap. What is your take on that? Do you think that's just a racing incident? You said it was just to be expected.
Stuck around, looked at the replay. It looked like there might have been a little net code contact between the inside two cars. Sent the inside car out into me, and sent me tumbling into the sand trap. It's just hard racing. You expect that in the last lap.
So we've now watched you race in 2 series effectively, both in the SRF. Do you run any other cars, and could we maybe tempt you to hop into more GSRC broadcasts? Because, boy, you hang with some very fast guys up there.
Real life kind of has a lot of priorities on my time, so I kind of stuck with the SRF and don't really have time to practice the other cars enough to be competitive.
Bill, you got any questions?
Thanks, it's fun racing.
Oh, absolutely. Bill, you got any questions for Austin? You were a big fan of his out there.
I was. I thought he was really fast. I think the 2 questions. First of all, your pit stop 17 seconds compared to about 11 or 12. How much fuel did you have left at the end?
Look, I'm sure I had about 0.8 of a gallon left, which isn't excessive, but I don't know. Maybe I need to adjust that down a little bit.
Yeah, or pay your pit crew more, maybe. That might be it. Finally, I liked your attitude on the end. Let's talk about, you're racing. It's the final corner for a fun race. That's going to happen. But early on, I thought the racing, when you were back in 6th position, just kind of sitting back there waiting for your time to finally get up to the front, the front of the group you're racing with.
Yeah, you got 20 laps left. There's no reason to cause everybody to ruin their race early. So just be patient, wait for your time, and there's a nice draft. You can sit down and kind of wait. And if you make a mistake, kind of take a corner slowly, the draft pulls you right back in.
All right. Well, we'll let you out on this one. Talk to your boss, see if you can find some more time to race with us here, because we enjoyed watching you on GSRC. Love to see you on some more broadcasts.
All right, that was Austin Winter, finished 11th today. I'm with you, Bill. I want to see him around more, because what a great attitude after, like I said, what for most people would be a bit of a disappointing finish. But, boy, he sure seemed to enjoy himself, and we enjoyed getting to talk to Austin. Fortunately, nobody else has come in to talk to us after the race, so we're going to close up today. And, of course, we want to thank Steve Ray for organizing this event once again. He's taken over the reins a couple years ago, and since then has really put on some great shows here in the SRF Big Grid quarterly events that we broadcast here on GSRC. Also, thanks to the companies that provide our software and hardware for our broadcasts. They're listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Bill, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Or you can check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel. We're also on Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel. And now we're on Instagram as well at GSR_RAM. The next race, well, that's easy to figure out, even though we don't have it on our schedule yet. 13 weeks from now, you can expect this one to return. We will try and get you details on that once we talk to Steve Ray about next season. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.